And TikTok is fighting to keep its platform up and running in the U.S. as the Supreme Court decides if the social media platform poses a risk to our nation's security. The popular video sharing platform is owned by ByteDance, which is based in China. And the feds warn that Beijing could exploit users' data to spy on the U.S. and spread propaganda against the country. Back in 2021, President Biden and his administration gave ByteDance a chance to negotiate a security deal by promising to block the access of U.S. users' data by China. Let's bring in NewsNation's Joe Connell, who is live for us outside of the U.S. Supreme Court. Joe, what arguments did those justices hear today?
Well, it is sort of new territory for the Supreme Court. Basically, at stake here is the future of TikTok in the United States. The attorneys for TikTok trying to argue that despite the fact that TikTok is owned by ByteDance, which is a Chinese firm, they're arguing that the law that Congress passed, which effectively bans TikTok in the United States unless ByteDance divests or sells off the American entity here, that law is unconstitutional. That's the argument that they were trying to make here. Now, Republicans and Democrats in a bipartisan way passed this law. Their concern was that the algorithms that TikTok uses are in some way controlled by the Chinese Communist government. That is what the argument was that they put forward back when they were crafting this law. Some lawmakers saying that, in fact, already they have seen examples of the CCP in some ways using this algorithm to try to influence or try to spread either misinformation or CCP propaganda in the United States. So those are the concerns. In the arguments that TikTok attorneys put forward today, they said that in a hypothetical, that basically if Jeff Bezos, who owns the Washington Post, were somehow threatened by the Chinese government and forced the Washington Post to put forward misinformation or Chinese propaganda, that even in that kind of case, Congress would still not have the authority under the First Amendment to shut the Washington Post down. That was the hypothetical they put forward. It seemed to get some skepticism back from the justices, many of them arguing that foreign governments don't have the same type of First Amendment rights that American companies and certainly that American users of TikTok have. Take a listen to one exchange. You're going to hear Justices Kavanaugh and Barrett going back and forth with one of the attorneys today representing TikTok.
What happens after January 19th if you lose this case? Can you just spell that out?
At least as I understand it, we go dark. Essentially, the platform shuts down.
You keep saying shut down. The law doesn't say TikTok has to shut down. It says ByteDance has to divest. If ByteDance divested TikTok, we wouldn't be here, right?
So whatever happens as a result of these arguments is going to happen quickly, because January 19th is the date that was specified in this law where either TikTok would have to cut ties from ByteDance or, again, be banned in the United States. Now, there has been discussion about President-elect Trump, when he does assume office, whether he might try in some way by executive order to delay the implementation of this law. There are still some legal questions about whether or not that might happen or not. So I think there's still some digging that has to be done in that sense, Nichole. But it will be interesting to see what happens here either way and what the justices say when they ultimately do weigh in.
Yeah, and so many people would potentially be impacted. What are content creators saying about the case?
Yeah, so interestingly, the two arguments for TikTok, one was the company itself, but one was actually on behalf of users. And the basic argument among many that attorney made was that this platform is unique and unlike others. He says there are examples of TikTok users moving to other platforms and trying to put their videos forward, put their content forward, and they don't get the same type of engagement that they have gotten on TikTok. So his argument was that those American users who are subject to the First Amendment are not going to have the same type of reach if they were to, say, move over to Instagram. And that therein, he says, lies the issue with them, that their rights are harmed by this decision.
All right, Joe Connell live. Thanks for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find News Nation on your screen. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.